A makeover, and you're paying for it. $2.5 billion, that's how much it's going to cost to put in skylights, a rooftop garden, and sounds pretty luxurious, doesn't it? Well, some are even calling it the Palace of Versailles. The Fed hasn't made a profit, unfortunately, since 2022. Last year, it posted operating losses of over $77 billion, and the cherry on top of the bureaucratic sundae, the project is wildly over budget. Costs have gone up over 30% since 2019. I think the Fed doesn't need a Palace of Versailles, Taylor.
But it's still cheaper than my gone bullet train that I'm never going to get, right? We're talking about wasted money, not that bad. Just kidding. So look, I know that people don't want to spend federal taxpayer money on a new building, and I totally understand. For argument's sake, let me take the flip side of this. I've often said we are the preeminent federal central bank of the world. Jay Powell is literally the central banker to the entire world. The dollar is the world's currency for a reason. I've often thought inside my head, maybe a few times said out loud, in many ways he can be more important than the president because he controls the money. And if you control the money and the money supply and M2, you can be more important than any political figure. Do you need a nice building to reflect some of that? Yes, I'd like to see a modern, nice thing. Should we be well over $2.5 billion in cost overruns? No, the people are outraged, but I think we need to spruce up some of our infrastructure.
The building they're in was renovated in 2021.
See, I did that just
the William McChesney Martin Jr. building. These are two other buildings in the campus that are undergoing a $2.5 billion reno. The Fed has a private art collection in the basement of their William McChesney Martin building and some Italian beehives on the roof. Sell the bees and the art.
Italian beehives.
The Fed lost $250 billion over the last, since 2022. It's supposed to be hand money over to the Treasury, remitting money to the Treasury Department. It is supposed to be funding the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's the way the law was written when that boondoggle of an Elizabeth Warren monstrosity was set up. So technically, it's been illegally funding the CFPB. Just that alone is a fireable offense for Jay Powell.
They should be
but I
a
digress.
shipping container, it sounds like. Jackie, by the way, they do have a new elevator system.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at that, so I'm seeing some things we can scrap.
That goes right to the VIP.
Why not privatize the reno and let me put a restaurant in there? Powell gets his own booth every day for lunch, and you can eat at the Fed.
Boom.
Can you imagine? I'd make money doing that.
No, they already do, and part of this reno is there's going to be a private access to the elevator that takes them to the dining room, so they don't have to associate with the plebes and the proles.
I don't think it needs to be like that. I believe Brett Baer was doing an interview down in D.C. at HUD, and the building was literally falling apart. That building definitely needed some work. Like, I'm talking about sheetrock.
Department of Housing.
Yes.
Has a house that's falling
And
apart.
so that was the irony there. And they were working on it.
$2 billion is a lot, though, for a reno.
Yes,
don't you think?
$2 billion sounds like a lot, and there were things on that list that could go. The rooftop gardens, the VIP dining suite, and what else did I see?
I didn't know there was even Italian bees were a thing.
Extreme.
No, that's in the current building. The current building.
Skylights.
The current building was renovated 4 years ago.
And
you get nothing.
Water features.
I still like my
It sounds excessive
eat at the
to me.
Fed. The whole idea sounds great.
Yeah, it's like how all these brands are doing their restaurants.
Yes.
And you could go and sit next to like a new Treasury bill or a gold bar
Jay
or
Powell wax doll.
a chart of M2 money supply.
Sell the art. I have an art history degree. I will gladly help you appraise it. I'm sure some old bags gave you the art and say it's in the, it's in the giving documents that you can't sell it. You can't sell it.
Does the Fed pay taxes on capital gains on art sold? Would they?
Ooh, no.
Good question.
I
Does it
doubt
say-
it.
No.
Okay, well, then you have a hell of a good idea
There you go.
Yeah,
You could add that
sell
to
it.
the tax
Yeah,
bill.
that's good.
The reason you need things like Doge is because in the same year that they just renovated the Fed, they approved a $2.5 billion or whatever, $2 billion renovation. That's why you need.
Like, who's
those.
approving this stuff?
Well,
does that?
apparently the Fed approved it because they didn't put in money.
Well, they used to make
That's the
money.
problem.
Right.
They could self-fund. They could self-fund this reno until under Jay Powell they started losing $250 billion over
Transitory.
2.5 years.
In order to have that happen, they'd have to be bonused based on free cash flow pre-tax. That would be how they'd actually care. They'd reduce these costs if they were all individually bonused like the rest of it has to work on profit. I mean, we could use a lot of the private sector philosophy in giant institutions like that. Why don't they make money?
Yeah.
And they'd get
Well, they
paid
need-
some of the profit. The actual Powell would get a big bonus.
Because they've got no competition. And when you have no competition,
Well-
you don't care about making money
You
because you
can't
just
have
take it
competition
from
in the
people.
Federal Reserve, Brian. Come on.
Well, it's called the bond market, isn't it? Isn't the bond market kind
He's
of
absolutely
They're
right.
giving them a run for their
Huh?
money. That's fair.
If you
We
have
should have a little less job security, I feel, but that's.
I think we should have
No,
Oh,
we should have a survivor-like competition for Powell's job, though.
right.
eat at the Fed, Brian.